It is the junior final here then at the 2015 Rotax Winter Cup, organised by RGMMC, and that's how the grid shapes up. We lost a lot of drivers after the second chance heat this morning. There were around about 50 drivers. These are the top 34 that have made it through to the final. So on pole position then, we have got Dean McDonald, who's just had an edge over everybody this weekend so far. Fastest in qualifying on Friday, on pole position for the heats yesterday, had a fourth place finish in a tricky race, but then won the other two. He won the pre-final, so it's been an almost perfect weekend for him so far, but this is the one that matters. Tom Gamble is alongside. Excellent debut, as we said, on row 2. Leonard Hugenboom and Jack McCarthy, both potential winners. Row 3, likewise, Jordan Brown-Nutley and Tom Canning, they could win. They're just as quick as those ahead. On row 4, Axel Charpentier and Finn Keneally, more debutants doing well here. Zach Falk and Oliver York with a bit more European experience still could get themselves in podium positions here from 9th and 10th on the grid. It's entirely possible. Then from Indonesia, it was a great pre-final. Lots of progress made for Pidana Minang. What can he do in his second season with us? Giannis Slavinsky is alongside. That's the 6th row of the grid. Row 7, Kian Jewis and Killian Mayer. Row 8, Josh Skelton and Nicholas Scholl. Row 9, Alan Dillon Thompson and Dickie van der Waal. Dickie should be coming through if all is well, because he is a driver that won a heat yesterday and he was running towards the front of the field in the pre-final until something happened to him that sent him back. So from 18th on the grid, Dickie van der Waal could be one to keep an eye on. On row 10, we've got Enzo Corsimo and Ido Cohen. Ido coming through from the second chance heat and making decent progress in the pre-final. So he's 20th on the grid. On the 11th row, Kasper Koyas and Andreas Estner. On row 12, Ayrton Simmons and Adam Ateki. Row 13, Luc Ibanez and Cameron Bodler. On row 14, Antoine Percival and Jonathan Hoggard. Row 15, Paul Catala Quencha and Oscar Palomo Ortiz. On row 16, Daniel Luco and Mark Kimber. On row 17, you could almost turn this grid upside down, because there's a case to say that Alex Quinn and Marta Garcia, had things gone well this weekend, were quick enough to be on the front row, but instead they're on the very last row of the grid. Row 17, Quinn starts 33rd, Garcia starts 34th. Watch for them to come through as well. So that's the grid, and we're halfway around the second formation lap. Everybody now beginning to huddle together, ready for the start of what should be a fabulous race. You can see the camera there. It's just been blown around by the wind. That's the exit to turn 11, midway around the lap. And it's a really, really strong wind. It was pretty windy yesterday, but it's even worse today. But in the build-up to this weekend, there was a lot of talk about rain on Saturday, and it was almost inevitable. People thought that it was going to be wet today on Sunday, but actually we've barely had any rain, despite the overcast skies. Haven't had too much rain at all this weekend. We certainly haven't had a proper wet track in any of the racing. So it remains dry, and we're almost there. People at home watching on the live stream, their hearts are going to be fluttering now, particularly those with a vested interest in drivers near the front and around the banking as well. A good crowd here to watch the junior final as the race gets underway. The 12-lapper, Dean McDonald with a very good start. He holds the inside line. He left the door slightly ajar there. Leonard Hugenboom had to think about going up the inside, but didn't quite manage to do so, and settled back into position. And one or two have collided wheels a bit further down the order. It's Dean McDonald at the head of the field that leads them through. One of the drivers at the back here was 28 and 38, it looks like, have dropped positions. 28 is Andreas Estner, who's lost a few places. That's one of the drivers. I think there were 3 or 4 got tangled up at turn 1, but they're all got going again. Dean McDonald now comes through turn 9 as our race leader. In second place is Leonard Hugenboom. Third is Jordan Brown-Nutley. Fourth is Jack McCarthy. Make that third. He goes through at the hairpin to get third place. So Jack McCarthy through, and there's a move here from Tom Gamble, number 54. He gets through as well. Jordan Brown-Nutley sent wide, loses another place then to Tom Canning. So it's the 2 Toms, 4th and 5th now. Jordan Brown-Nutley fights back though at the end of the back straight. I said that was his favourite part of the course, and he's pulled off another good move there to get one of the places back. Tom Canning, as a result of that, lost another place on the exit, so it's all completely changing in around 4th, 5th, 6th positions. But at the head of the field, it remains Dean McDonald just ahead. Now in the pre-final, and in two of the heats yesterday. He's had huge pressure, but he hasn't relented. But now he finally has to concede the lead of the race because Leonard Hugenboom forces his way through at turn 4. And Leonard now leads the race. Dean McDonald down to second place. Jack McCarthy on his tail in third. Tom Gamble in fourth place. A little gap back then to this scrap for fifth place. Looks like Jordan Brown-Nutley has got back to the head of the next group. Number 34 is way down the order. It looks like he's leading the race, but he's not. It's Finn Keneally, who's been one of the drivers tangled up in lap 1. So you'll see the driver that looks well clear there with the green helmet. That's the driver that's a lap down, so we're almost a lap down. He'll go through shot at turn 12. Then we'll pick up our new race leader, Leonard Hugenboom. Still McDonald second, McCarthy third, Gamble fourth. Brown-Nutley leading the next group in fifth place. Zach Falk has come through to the top 6. He's going well. Tom Canning, Kieran Junis are 7th and 8th. Charpentier is 9th. Nicholas Scholl is up to 10th. Alan Dillon Thompson is just outside the top 10. Dean McDonald has spent most of the weekend at the head of the field, and he spent most of the weekend with people breathing down his neck, particularly in the heats yesterday, and he's just been able to soak up the pressure. But finally, Leonard Hugenboom has found a way through. It was a brave move. It was a gutsy move. And it required Dean to give him a bit of space, but Dean, it being early in the race, let him go. And he'll try and fight back now. But look how close they all are. The top 10 or 11 carts are all in a line here. Nobody really getting away from anybody else. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, 10 drivers all together here. And then a slight gap. Then you've got Oliver York in 11th. He'll probably be on the back of that queue in a moment as well. Leonard Hugenboom has about a 1 kart length advantage at the end of the back straight. Dean McDonald is better on the brakes and closes up, but can't find a way past. On the way to turn 13, Tom Gamble looks to the inside. Dean McDonald is going to lose second place. McCarthy's got him as well, so he's gone down to 4th place as they went behind the barriers there. And McDonald loses 2 more places, so he's 4th now. Leonard Hugenboom leads. McCarthy could be a threat here. Tom Gamble is driving absolutely fabulously on his first time here. One or two of the others around him have got a bit more experience of this track, but it's not showing. Young Tom Gamble doing a great job. He's had the better start as well, like he hoped he would, and he's in the mix very much so. Bit of progress from 1 or 2 from further back. Ed Simmons has made quite a few places up. He's into 16th. Dickie van der Waal not made too much progress. He's just out in 14th place. Marta Garcia's up to 25th position. Alex Quinn still at the back, I'm afraid, and it's just not been his day today, but he will be one to watch based on the performance that we saw from him in some of the races yesterday. He'll come back at Salisbury in about 6 weeks' time for the first round of the Rotax Max Euro Challenge at the start of April. At the head of the field, Leonard Hugenboom leads, but here comes Tom Gamble again on the way to turn 13, the left-hander, and he's gone through. We've got a new race leader, our 3rd race leader. McDonald led, Hugenboom led, Gamble leads. McCarthy followed him through. 2nd place. There's been some very cute driving here from Jack McCarthy. Every time somebody makes a move, he just follows them through. Been very wily. Some very mature driving from Jack McCarthy there in 2nd. Leonard Hugenboom from 1st to 3rd. Tom Canning is still in the mix in 4th. Dean McDonald's down to 5th. So another place lost for Dino. Not quite working out yet. He's definitely had the edge over everybody so far this weekend, but they're matching his pace now. Conditions have changed. It has got windier. Maybe it's not quite working as well as it was in the pre-final. Number 20, Kieran Jewis, is just behind as well. He's made good progress up to 7th. Oliver York is just about to fire one down the inside of Nicholas Scholl to gain another place. So he's well up inside the top 10 now as well. Oliver York in 8th or 9th place. 9th, I think he is. And making a lot of progress in the last couple of laps. Now, is there going to be a change for lead again? Jack McCarthy thought about it into turn, or the exit to turn 12, but then backed off out of the move. So Gamble continues to lead. Hugenboom is still right with them, isn't he, in 3rd place? And towards turn 1, they go. Gamble, McCarthy, Hugenboom, and with them in 4th place, Canning. There is then about a 1.3 second gap back to the next group. Jordan Brown-Nutley now leads that. He's 5th. 6th is Dean McDonald. 7th, Kieran Jewis. Oliver York's up to 8th. Axel Charpentier 9th. Nicholas Scholl 10th. Zach Falk and Josh Skelton just outside the top 10 in 11th and 12th positions. I'll tell you what, had he not had a disastrous first lap, Finn Keneally, he's very quick, isn't he? Because he's almost lapped, but they haven't been able to catch him. So, when he was 8th on the grid, Finn Keneally, and he's just as quick as the leaders. So, at least proving a point here, even if he is at the back of the field, that he's pretty much as quick as the leaders. Talking about quick drivers, Dickie van der Waal has set the fastest lap of the race, 66.380 seconds, up to 15th now. Not really going to threaten for a podium, it's unlikely anyway, but let's see how high up the order he can get. Jack McCarthy is still second. Leonard Hugenboom is no longer third though, because Tom Canning's got through into that position. He takes the turn in third. They're all huddled together, they're all slipstreaming each other at the end of the straights. And it's going to chop and change quite a lot, I think, in the second half of the race. And that battle for 5th is still raging on, but Dean McDonald's got back to the head of that group. Can he get his head down now and catch back up to the top 4? Cian Dewis and Oliver York have also got ahead of Jordan Brown-Nutley, who's in 8th place. You lose one position in the race here, and you probably end up losing 2 or 3 at the same time because they're so tightly packed. Down into the left-hander at turn 10 they go. Gamble, McCarthy, Canning, the top 3. Hugenboom 4th. McDonald pushing on, and Cian Dewis, number 20, trying to go with him. Both will now try to work together to catch up that lead group. Well, will they work together? They won't actually, because Cian Dewis is going for the move. Through the inside he goes. Dean McDonald out wide will lose another place at the same time as Oliver York passes him. So just as he thought he might maybe make a bit more progress back onto the leaders, Dean McDonald loses 2 places. And it's Cian Dewis who's driving really well in this final, up to 5th. Oliver York also going really well. He's up into 6th place. If the top 4 start to fight each other, there is every chance that those drivers in the second group, within about half a lap, could be on them and still in with the chance of fighting for podium positions. We have got 5 laps to go still, so there's plenty of time for them. And the top 4 have got to be careful not to hold each other up too much. Number 54, Tom Gamble, leads the way. 44, Tom Canning, up to second now. Well, we're looking at the second group of karts battling away. He snuck ahead of the number 8 kart of Jack McCarthy at the end of the previous lap, and Leonard Hugenboom 4th. So I've switched around quite a few times in that lead group, but Gamble has led the pack for a little while now. Oliver York has got ahead of Cian Dewis to head the second group, so he's up to 5th now in the number 34 kart. Axel Charpentier has made up a place as well. He's up to 7th. Dean McDonald's down to 8th. Jordan Brown-Nutley's 9th. Brown-Nutley just out of Fulk in 10th place. Johnny Slavinsky in 11th. Climbing up the hill once more then, through turns 2, 3, 4, up to 5, then back down to 6. Gamble being shadowed by Canning, the 2 Toms up ahead, but Canning makes a little mistake there on the exit to turn 6. Jack McCarthy will just take the position without too much trouble, and that was Canning just getting out of shape at turn 6, clattered the curbs, and Jack McCarthy was able to steal through into second place without too much trouble. It's also given a slight bit of an advantage to Tom Gamble. He's about 3 lengths clear all of a sudden. Probably won't last long though, because they'll start to reel him in again, I suspect, once they go down the straights. Oliver York still 5th. Cian Dewis in 6th place. 7th, Zach Fulk having a strong race here. Brown-Nutley 8th. Dean McDonald 9th. Axel Charpentier down to 10th. Getting into the closing stages now. We're into the final third of the race. Tom Gamble looks like a driver who's been racing at this level all his life, doesn't he? Looks very comfortable, very smooth, very calm and controlled at the head of the field. He's got that advantage now of about half a second, and he's responded by putting a personal best lap in. Now he's not having to defend quite so hard. Jack McCarthy has had the bit between his teeth this weekend though, and if he can get a good lap in here, he's certainly got the speed to challenge Tom Gamble when we go into the final 2 laps of the race. 3 to go, including the one they're on. Tom Canning 3rd. Leonard Hugenboom wasn't close enough to take advantage, so he's still in 4th place. Let's have a look at the lap time of Oliver York, 66.5. He's as quick as the group ahead, but he's not quicker. He's not really closing the gap. He remains 5th. Cian Dewis, Zach Fulk is 6th, Cian Dewis is 7th, Brown-Nutley, McDonald and Charpentier still inside the top 10, so no changes down there really. Slavinsky, Skelton, Luke Ibanez, the Spanish driver, 13th, Dickie van der Waal, 14th. Here we go, 2 laps remain. Across the line they go. Tom Gamble is still ahead, but by a reduced margin, 0.37 of a second. So Jack McCarthy starting to get closer and closer now as we build up to what's going to be a fascinating crescendo. Leonard Hoogenboom doesn't look like he's quite got the pace to hang on to them for the last part of this race. So it's becoming a three-way battle at the front of the field now between the three British drivers, Gamble, McCarthy and Canning. Hoogenboom should be safe in fourth. Oliver York and Zach Fulk still trying to catch the gap to him for the penultimate time into the left-hander at turn number 10. Go our race leaders. The uphill climb now as they rise through turn 11, and then it's this really quick back section flat out down through the kink into turn 12. Here comes into the hairpin our race leader Tom Gamble, still about 1 length clear of Jack McCarthy, but the gap is definitely coming down, and Tom Canning is trying his hardest to get up there as well. Oliver York has lost 5th place, I think, to Zach Fulk on that lap, so Zach's gone through to, I think that was probably at the end of the straight. We're on to our final lap of the race though. 1 lap to go. Tom Gamble is 0.3 of a second clear still. A couple of hundredths quicker on that lap was Jack McCarthy. Gamble's got to try and soak up the pressure now for 1 more lap. Tom Canning is not quite with the top 2. They've dropped Leonard Hoogenboom. He's still 4th, but he's a long way back from them. And if the top 2 get into a big fight somewhere, Tom Canning might just be close enough to pick up the pieces. He's certainly on for a podium here though. Gamble and Canning have done very well. McCarthy, the bit more European experience, is stellar danger though, and now he's right onto the tail of the race leader. Gives a little love tap to the rear bumper of Gamble. Another one on the way into turn 11. He's lining up a move here. A few corners to go. Gamble leads, McCarthy second. Is he going to go for it? No, the line is covered. McCarthy gives another tap to the race leader, but Gamble's hugging the inside line, looking over his shoulder. 2 corners to go. Gamble leads, 1 corner to go. Can he hang on to it? McCarthy coming under pressure from Tom Canning now. They go side by side. The flag comes out. The win goes to Tom Gamble. Takes the victory by 0.1 of a second. McCarthy just held on to second place. Tom Canning came out of the last corner like a rocket, but he didn't quite have enough to steal second place. He was 0.064 seconds behind McCarthy. Great to see them all now shaking hands. McCarthy shakes hands with Gamble and Canning, and they appreciated each other's company in that race. It was a hard-fought race, particularly on the last lap. McCarthy tried everything, but Gamble, as you'd expect, hugged the inside line, and the Dan Holland Racing man takes a famous victory here at the Winter Cup. McCarthy second for Strawberry. Canning, as you can see there, for Dan Holland Racing in third. Leonard Hoogenboom 4th, Oliver York, Zach Fulk, Jordan Brown Nutley were next up. 8th place to Cian Jewis, 9th place to Johnny Slavinsky. Dean McDonald, a really disappointing final there for him after what's otherwise been a great weekend. He was down in 10th place. Jonathan Hoggard came up to 11th. Dickie van der Waal was in 12th place. The fastest lap of the race went to number 49, Zach Fulk, and that brings us to the end of what was a fabulous junior final there. Our winner, our Winter Cup champion, and one to watch for the future is young Tom Gamble.